Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is October 11th, and right now we're looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. You can see the low pressure system here moving towards the Northern California coastline and southern Oregon. This storm is weakening, losing a bit of its punch as it moves inland here. But if you look at across the western Alaska area and Gulf of Alaska, this is eventually what's going to be bringing in a pattern change here to the Pacific Northwest. We're going to look at those details here coming up as we go through the video here this morning. Taking a look at yesterday, I know a lot of you guys were out there looking at the northern lights. You could see them even in some of the city areas. We did have some clouds spreading across the region there, but it wasn't enough that it blocked off most of the view until later on in through the very early morning hours. So, it was a pretty good show out there. And I was out there shooting the lenticular cloud and trying to capture the aurora with that as well. I have to share some of that and build the time lapses here. Got some pretty fun stuff out there yesterday, but that comes at a cost when you're lacking sleep as of the next morning. Only got a few hours last night. But taking a look at Seattle, 59 yesterday, 4 degrees below average, and no precipitation yesterday, but there are precipitation chances upcoming here, especially with this pattern change, and we're going to be looking at that here in a moment. Now, taking a look at a station I selected here, this is just out there near Lake Quinault. You can see this is Norwood here, and you can see all the other Tempest weather stations out there as well. And I've been talking about this station for some time now and highly recommend it, especially for the price. Got a great smartphone app. You can see the wind updating every few seconds. UV index. It's got a lightning detection system. Stores all the data for you in the cloud. Highly recommend the station. So go ahead and click on that link down below if you want to save 10% off on that. Now, taking a look at what is to come. This is last night's European artificial intelligence. This is that system moving towards Northern California, losing its punch as it does so. We're going to have a decent weekend here across much of the Pacific Northwest as the Gulf of Alaska troughing, Pacific North American positive oscillation is just absolutely raging here. And then we start to get the pattern change as that troughing starts to move towards the west coast of North America and right over the Pacific Northwest. This is going to bring a big change here for our region. Even some mountain snow, some cooler than normal conditions, and some frontal systems will be rolling in. Then we scroll way off into fantasy land. We stay active through October 19th, 20th, and then the models are showing some interesting ridging off in the extended. And you might think, well, we're going to get some nice warm weather out of that, but not necessarily so, because lower elevations, once you lock in these domes of high pressure and you start getting into the second half of October, you can really start to set up a foggy regime. So we'll be watching that. It's just purely fantasy right now. Now, again, Pacific North American positive, low pressure out over the Gulf of Alaska and the Pacific Ocean, ridging over North America. And the flip side is true for Pacific North American negative. So you can kind of see that here, and you can see why I'm showing you that. The European is showing the positive with the Gulf of Alaska trough just raging, but you see the pattern change coming up here as we go through next week, and potentially remaining that way as we go through the second half of October. More on that here in a moment. But first, I want to show you the 2-meter temperature anomaly here. This is a one-day running total. Fairly warm weekend coming up for much of the Pacific Northwest, and then things start to change as we roll on in through next week. You can clearly see the pattern change for much of the western portion of the lower 48 and British Columbia as well. Then we scroll off a bit into the future here, and we've got some frontal systems probably still associated here across Pacific Northwest. And if we go out far enough, you can kind of see the ridging and some above normal temperatures way off into Fantasyland, and some Arctic air trying to slide down the backside of the Rocky Mountains. Won't have any impact here on the Pacific Northwest. Now, taking a look at 6-hour precipitation and type. There goes that system today, trying to clip portions of southern Oregon and Northern California. And then that system is rapidly falling apart. Then we get our fairly nice weekend, but then we have a frontal system rolling in on the day Monday for western BC, western Washington. That system moves through a stronger low pressure center here, moving up towards Haida Gwaii. Look at that 967 millibar low. Nice frontal system would be associated with that as we go through the mid portion of next week. Mossbacks rejoice, returning back to some fall weather here across the Pacific Northwest. Some mountain snows are even possible as that colder air rushes in. Look at that Thursday morning. Some snow for the Cascades of Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, British Columbia. And then we continue to bring some interesting systems in here as we go through the extended forecast as well. So something to look forward to as far as fall weather lovers are concerned. Taking a look at 850 millibars. This is the temperature at 5,000 feet. So you can see why we're going to be warmer than normal here through the weekend. And then the pattern change comes, and look at this shift here for much of the west coast of North America. Yeah, so we're definitely going to be welcoming that, maybe doing some storm watching here over the next week or so. Now, taking a look at 2-meter temperatures here. This is basically at the surface, and you can see for today, this is Friday, October 11th, Seattle, mid and upper 60s, some 70s for the Willamette Valley, all the way up into southwest BC with some upper 60s potentially. And we go through tomorrow. Check it out. Bouncing these temperatures up here. Look at Sunday, maybe some mid 70s for the Puget Sound. Enjoy summer's last gasp here, because we are going to be changing things up rapidly as we go through next week. Here goes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and look at some of this cold air arriving. Highs only in the 50s for Seattle, Willamette Valley, maybe squeezing some lower 60s for eastern portions here. And yeah, and then we'll see what comes after that. We're looking about a week out right there. And also, hopefully we time things up right, because, actually starting today, if you get a clear view of the western sky and you time things out just right, you might be able to see the comet. It's just above the sun. So as the sun sets, if you have the right camera set up in the clear skies, you might be able to capture a peak of that comet. And especially as we go through the 14th and the 24th, because the comet's going to be getting further away from the sun from our perspective. So we'll be watching that cloud update here as we go on a daily basis. But you can see about 6 o'clock tonight is right here, and you can see the clouds starting to try to break up between 6 and 7. So some areas you actually might be able to get a view of that comet. And then we'll scroll on in through the day on Saturday and check it out. You might be able to view it here across western Washington, western Oregon, Cascades, Washington, So yeah, I might be out hunting that as we go through this weekend. We go through Sunday here, and there's some clouds around. It's going to be kind of a nowcast situation. Sunday evening, not looking too hot right now, but that can change. We'll check back on that tomorrow. 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook. Look at that. The Climate Prediction Center is now calling attention to the frontal systems. It's going to be visiting the Pacific Northwest October 16th through 20th there. Here's the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook near normal. And then the 8 to 14 days starting to include us here in the below normal temperatures as we go through October 24th, and still with the above normal precipitation. So yeah, I was out there pretty late last night, kind of running on low sleep here again today, and I'll try to continue to fix up my studio here and get it soundproof and whatnot. Hopefully you guys are enjoying these videos. I'll be sharing my time-lapse stuff here. I've just got so much data. I took another 7,000 raw images yesterday. My cameras are 50 and 61 megapixels, so that just equals huge data. It takes forever just to download them. Then I got to organize them. Then I got to run them through a program and put them into time lapses and everything. So hopefully I can do that here as we go through the weekend and get a video out for you. For everybody who likes the northern lights and lenticular clouds, you're going to love this video I'm working on. So anyway, click like and subscribe. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.